What is going on, everybody? We got some semifinal action going on. It's the Black Twitch League semifinals. This is the last part of the semifinals between Dino Club and the Dryads, as Maria's Dungeon awaits the victor of this game, of this match, I should say. My name is Yanni. I'm joined by RareAdam and Adam. Well, we saw these two teams go at it prior, and judging by how some of these teams ended their seasons, let's just say that both these teams are kind of on the downswing.
A little bit, yeah. Dino Club has been waiting for their opponents, and they did take a 2-0 loss to Maria's Dungeon, whereas Dryads here, 4-3 coming in as a little bit of the underdogs here, but they're looking to sort of get back up on their feet. But no matter what these two teams have had in the past couple of weeks, they're all focused on what's going to happen today, and I'm very curious to see how this semifinal plays out. It is a best of 5, so we may be in for quite the treat, to say the least, and our top lane picks already given us a little bit of the special.
Yeah, that is definitely something that, we got in our notes, is that, this Maokai pick, this Fiora pick for these top laners, these are their ace champions going at it mano a mano in the top lane. So talking a little bit about the bans real quick, Seraphine, Alistar, Thresh for Dino Club, looking to throw the Dryads off balance. Meanwhile, the Dryads went with Vayne, Lucian, Morgana, clearly focusing these bot lanes. And the Dryads, they're going to follow up with one of the strongest support picks on the patch. It's Leona.
Yeah, Leona's still one of those champions that sticks around the meta no matter what. She's always been one of those strong, engaged supports, really straightforward and easy to play. So OP9 Lovers is going to just call their own numbers, say, let's take this Leona, let's take that potential away from the opposite team. But the Jarvan locked in here for E10 Rerob. I believe E10 is a sub here coming in, but what better way to show off your skill than on the main stage here? And obviously picking the Jarvan may be a comfort pick, but also is quite a strong jungler right now. We just finished seeing Worlds where GAJ just kept pulling those Jarvan bans because of how good he looked on that champion.
Yeah, it's just a really strong champion when you know how to use it. I personally hate the Gore Drinker and the Sterix build. I think I think in some scenarios you're a little too squishy. Like, you have a lot of effective health if you're in the middle of the team fight, but if you get blown up beforehand, it's a problem. That being said, the Dryads might not necessarily have a team composition like that, but you know what? They have the Dino Club has plenty of CC in the way of that Maokai Jarvan. They go with a Tristana for their last pick of the first half of the draft. And you know what? When everybody's diving the backline, it's going to be a hard time. They're going to have a hard time getting on top of this Tristana. Leona might need to start peeling back based on the first two picks of Dino Club. The Dryads, they round out their first half with the Ziggs.
Yeah, Ziggs could be going down to that bottom lane for Pixel Wolf. Is a champion that they have played before, and I'm curious to see exactly how it develops in this game. Ziggs has fallen a little bit in priority, still can be flexed into that mid lane for Tanner if necessary, but Ziggs Leona is a very safe combo, especially when you're looking down the barrel of a potential Tristana plus engaged support to just dive into that backline constantly.
Yeah, and because Ziggs can just hold his own, it allows Leona to roam quite a bit. Supports who roam are generally very, very good players, and when you give a Leona an opportunity to roam, it's very dangerous. I've seen. Was I mistaken that I saw Leona with Predator at Worlds, or am I tripping?
I wouldn't be too surprised to see it come through.
I thought somebody played it. I was rewatching.
There was Syndra's that took.
Yeah, I know there were Syndras that took it. I thought somebody may have taken on the support role. I don't know. I was working while I was watching, so I don't necessarily remember. The last bans for the draft, it's going to be Elise Kha'Zix. Dino Club are taking those away. Meanwhile, the Dryads, they don't want to see a Caston or a Nautilus, so the support pool has been heavily pinched for Coach Kirk. We will have to see what they elect to pull out. It could theoretically be a Maokai or a Jarvan. I would be a little surprised if that was the case. The Dryads, they get a very great late value pick here with this Graves. Looks like it's probably going to go into the jungle, but could potentially be flexed mid.
Yes, the Graves has a lot of potential to even flex up to that top lane if necessary. Of course, with that Fiora already locked in, means that it's very unlikely to be swapped around too much. But overall, there are a lot of potential plays with this Graves pick. If it does go mid lane, can bully out something that is a little bit more passive, considering it may be a blind pick mid lane from Dino Club, or it can just go into Shifo's hands. And we've seen Shifo pull out a lot of these really strong junglers in the past and do quite well on them.
Yeah, Shifo is a force to be reckoned with. When you give a very aggressive, very strong player a champion like a Graves or any of these junglers that can really scrap early on, it is something to fear. Dino Club, they fear no man because Akshan is able to resurrect everybody. Oh, I thought they locked in Akshan.
Never mind.
I thought that bar was under Karma. See, I can't read Pro Draft properly. All right, never mind. So they opt with the Karma and the Corki. Gives them a lot of access to poke, some pretty solid enough magic damage. I fear that this team might not be as tanky as they look on paper.
Yeah, the Maokai and Jarvan giving you that front line is really nice, but for the side of Dryads, it's going to be a little bit scary because you have to contest with those Corki magic damage crits that come through. The Orianna going to round out that comp for Dryads to sort of give them a little bit more of that safety. But overall, I like the style of comps that we have out of both of these teams. Dino Club look to really engage into that fight, whereas Dryads, while they do like a little bit of engage themselves, they're going to be playing more backwards here. When you look at a Jarvan with the Karma-empowered shield, the Corki with the package, the Maokai with that Nature's Grasp moving forward, got to be really careful about when they pick their fights and how they pick their fights, because any mistakes from Dryads can be punished by Dino Club here.
You know, taking a look at these compositions, I'm not so much a fan of the Dryads team composition. It feels like their team doesn't necessarily know what it wants to do. Like, who is going to be the one to go in? It's just going to be the Leona, right? Like, there's going to be nobody else trying to hammer on this backline because Fiora can only get so far unless she comes on a flank. There's not really a strong combo potential between Leona Orianna. It's one of the weaker ones out of the ones that are considered to be strong shockwave combos, I guess you would call it. I just think that maybe this composition is just a little bit too cute. Looks very difficult to execute. Meanwhile, Dino Clubs, I mean, they're just going to poke you out and then hard engage you, and that's it. Like, that's very simple. I could sum it up in 2 sentences.
Yeah, and a lot of what the Dryads are going to end up doing here is they're going to have to really play around the poke that comes out from the Orianna, from the Ziggs. It's not the longest range poke, but you've really got to start to poke down that front line before you engage onto anything. Yucca's going to have to take over this side lane, and I think it's something that Dryads have been successful in doing. When they leave Yucca to split push on their own, they're able to take advantage of picks like this Maokai, but Buff's Maokai is kind of in a league of its own in some ways. We've seen this Maokai do so well into tough matchups and come out on top, and Maokai is in a little bit of a weird spot right now, considering where the items are. A lot of people don't like the champion top lane, have been picking him more as a support, but Boff says, that's fine by me. I know how to play this champion really well, and I'm going to pick that into what will end up being the bruiser fighter matchup that Yucca will pick every single time.
I did think it was quite bold of Dino Club to just say, all right, you know what? We're just gonna let Yucca have this Fiora. You know, Behoff is we're just gonna sit him up in the top lane and say, all right, you're gonna get your Maokai. You enjoy yourself. You're gonna have the hard matchup. We're gonna focus down on the bottom lane of the Dryads, which I think honestly ended up being a pretty good strategy because you take a look at the bottom lane for Dino Club of Rim Almighty and Coach Kirk. These guys are pretty nuts. Like, they have just absolutely dominated so many bot lanes they've come toe-to-toe with, and there was no exception between the Dryads bot lane the last time they faced off. And, I mean, it does feel a little bit strange because they have opted into a Karma Tristana, so a lot of the engagement onus is going to be on this Tristana to say, hey, I'm ready to jump in after Karma whittles them down. But the pick from the Dryads, that Ziggs pick, can dissuade so many engagements.
Yeah, and I'm just realizing we have a really interesting client bug where they disconnected draft, and now there's 3 champions still there. But regardless, it was because I think Tanner disconnected during champion select, ended up with a mistake on the Nautilus pickup. But Yes, I think
Is
I
that
think
is
the
that
point.
just visual, or are they going to be hovered? Like I'm
This is
actually
this
really
is
curious.
this is a visual bug completely.
Okay. Oh darn, that would be so much nicer if they were already hovered. Just pick them instantly. Just gotta slam lock in for your first 6 picks.
I don't know how this is gonna look now. Okay,
I guess we'll
that looked
find out.
fine.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. Yeah, I don't know. Seems like everything's good. But yeah, I think that the Ziggs pick was incredibly wise out of the Dryads. I would have just liked to see a more cohesive team composition. Like it feels like they're trying to do multiple different things here that are they don't come together harmoniously. And I've been watching a lot of Hell's Kitchen lately, or not a Master Chef. So you got to talk about the harmony in your dishes. And that's exactly what I'm talking about with the Dryads. It seems like they're trying to do a little bit too much. But again, the Ziggs pick I'm very much a fan of, trying to disarm the bottom lane of Dino Club.
I think that it really just shuts down the power of the Tristana. In a lot of ways, Tristana is that champion that you pick in the bot lane or in the mid lane or in the top lane sometimes to just take down those towers as quickly as possible and move around the map. Really strong early game, but into Ziggs, you have to be careful of that satchel charge. If it's sitting on the ground, doesn't matter if you're 10 feet up in the air, you're still going to get knocked back from that. And Tristana's engage at that point is sort of dissuaded. You have that Leona on the opposite side, which works so well with the Ziggs in terms of setting up for Shifo to potentially come down and look for those ganks, but I want to see what happens in this bot lane, because I think there's going to be a decent amount of attention turned down here. Considering your top and mid lane matchups, really the only lanes with any sort of setup is that bot lane.
Yeah, and while you have all the setup down there, it might just be more worthwhile to move the Leona around. When you take a look at the solo laners, you've got, or even, we'll consider Ziggs a solo laner for argument's sake here. Ziggs and Orianna are incredibly self-sufficient in their lanes, in their ability to be able to farm waves effectively while not putting themselves in too much danger. And I do wonder if that'll be the case here, and you're just going to move OP9 lovers around with Shifo the entire time, and maybe they try to get Yucca going earlier or something like that. There's a lot of ways that they could take this composition, but the worst thing I think would be if they just played standard lanes and then tried to team fight later on. Like, that's not what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I think that for the most part, the most important thing for both of these teams is to really find the correct fights for them. For the side of Dino Club, they really need to look for those team fight, those flank engages from the Jarvan and the Maokai, and get Corki and Tristana into a spot where they are able to free fire. And Coach Kirk has been really good about setting up good vision for his team, being able to set up his AD carries, this game plural in that sense, to really take over the game. Whereas on the flip side for Dryads, it's more so just about getting that poke out with Orianna and Ziggs, maybe finding the grouped up engage with Leona and Graves on the flank as well as Fiora, but really taking shorter fights and focusing more on the poke first beforehand, before you take those big fights.
Yeah, and again, this goes back to the compositional differences that we discussed earlier. The Dryads team composition, like we talked about, a lot going on. Like when you talk about their lane assignments and everything, it's like, oh, maybe we can pair this person here, move this person around the map. Meanwhile, Dino Club is like, hey, we're gonna play standard lanes in the mid game. Corki and Karma are gonna poke unless Corki's got the package. So it's like, all right, we're looking for Karma to get poking, Corki to get poking. We'll engage with Jarvan and Maokai when they're low. And then once Corki's got the package, it's like, all right, it's going to be on Karma, but we're going to bring Corki in for maybe a creative angle, and then going with Maokai Jarvan. Like, the most creativity Dino Club's composition needs to get is the Corki packages. But that's it. And you know what? That's okay. That's not a bad thing that they're not going with too much creativity here. Like, they know what they need to do. They know exactly how to execute it. It's fairly straightforward. That's why I like to favor this comp a lot. I like more straightforward compositions at this level of play.
I think that we'll have to keep our eye on what both of these teams kind of show up with in game one, because at the end of the day, this is a best of 5 series. We want to see what these two teams have to put up on the table and to see if anyone will sort of reveal a little bit too much maybe. And I think that this game, everyone's sort of playing their comfort, so nothing too crazy is being revealed right now. So I'm excited for this one, Yanni. This is going to be a great series.
This is going to be an awesome series, and hopefully it's not going to be a 3-0, although, an early night is always nice. We always want these competitive series. I want to see some close games. If we go to 5, we go to 5, but we are going to go to break before we do anything else, and we will be back very soon for Game 1 of the Black Twitch League semifinals between Dino Club and the Dryads.
Brisk, chilling air is calling, and out there we're free to run and jump and live so wildly. Head first we'll go tumbling through places unknown, with nothing but the stars to light our way. And though the sun may set at night, tomorrow looks so bright, 'cause home is when you're by my side. No matter what we do, together we'll see it through. And I hope that we won't drift apart, even though things change. Without you, it's not the same. I know it's true. Life's better when it's me and you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the Rift for Game 1 of the Black Twitch League semifinals. This is the Dino Club versus the Dryads. Dino Club, the #1 team in the regular season, lost their perfect season to the team that could await them in the finals, Maria's Dungeon. The Dryads scrimped to try to get themselves out of the Gauntlet. They were not placed in the Gauntlet, luckily. And they find themselves here toe-to-toe against Dino Club in a pretty standard line of scrimmage start.
Yep, and of course we get our little bit of a pause there. We'll get that all sorted out as quickly as possible, but yeah, I'm excited to see what these two teams have in store for us.
These team compositions, we harped on it all the time. It's going to be, in the end, it's just going to be how well you play. You give your top laner the best champion. You're the underdogs coming into it. I think you got to jam up there. I think you got to move around. You got to jam up there. There's no way you shouldn't do that. It's just you're putting the eggs in the basket.
I think that you've definitely got to give this Fiora as much of an advantage as possible, and that might just be through laning prowess. As if we get the leggy client because of that one minute 2-second pause.
Oh my god, I'm gonna be so tilted.
Yes, but loving the arcane map accents. I actually haven't played a game of League this patch yet, so I did not see them. I've only been playing TFT, but Coach Kirk just being a little bit of a nuisance, going in for a little bit of an annoying play onto OP lovers there.
Take a look at these jungle starts, man. They're starting opposite sides here. That means there's going to be no Jarvan around on that top side.
Yeah, Jarvan starting on the top side of the map, looking to potentially go to that bot side. Interesting that E10 RareAdam is going for that path instead of just doing red gank, which is what we see a lot out of Jarvan's, looking for that early pressure. But going to be matching this Graves here. They do clear relatively the same pace, so I'm curious to see how that works out. But Coach Kirk putting the hurt down on this Karma already.
Coach Kirk with the hurt, baby. Comes in here, he's just slapping people all the time. Maybe it would have behooved Shifo if he ganked after he hit level 2, because it was pretty apparent that his bot lane was going to be on the back foot, but it does mean that maybe they are just going on the Yucca strategy.
They might be looking to sort of just set Yucca up for success here. Thus far, though, Boff has gotten a decent lead in terms of CS. This wave is relatively even up there. As yep, we're getting that laggy part throughout. So Ioni, we will press backspace at some point to just go 15 seconds back, and hopefully that'll fix it.
Do you want to just do this now?
Yeah, let's just do it now. Backspace right now. Boom. And oh, it ruined it even more. Oh no. Oh
no.
Oh
what
my.
Have you done?
Let's press backspace again. Okay. We've just gone back in time, and hopefully that fixes everything.
Yeah, I hope so, man. That
was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Foss bomb just came out of nowhere. No one was moving for a little bit there, but looks like we've got everything solved for now. But yes, putting all the eggs into the Yucca basket may be their option in terms of getting this Fiora ahead. We know how strong Yucca can be on these sort of fighter-style champions, the split pushers, and we didn't get a hitch at 315, which means we might have fixed the problem.
Nice.
Let's go.
See, Shifo upstairs is going to be pinged out. Hoff is going to be in a lot of trouble, was not able to get away in time. And here comes the Graves. He's starting to put the hurt down.
Ooh.
The flash has been burnt, but they are committing for the Maokai at his first blood, going over to Shifo. And unfortunately for RareAdam, because his bot lane was pushing inward, there was nothing he could do down there. He will grab a crab, but he's not even going to get 2. He's only going to get the 1.
Yeah, and even looking at top side there, the wave was pushing away from Boaf as well. Yucca's going to be able to freeze that top side, and the Graves did have to burn the flash, but I think you take first blood for that flash any day of the week. RareAdam's looking for the dive.
Yeah, he was already spotted out. They are going to get the plating, and RareAdam is just going to flag and drag out of there. So, all right, he does a good job of securing a plating for his bottom lane. Okay, I mean, that's a play that you can make. It's solid. It gets your team gold. There wasn't really too much for him to do. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, top side.
Here we go again. I feel the chemicals kicking in as Hoff once again will fall. They're going to give this one over to Yucca. And so far, an amazing start for the Dryads, following the game plan to a T so far.
Yeah, it's been a really good start for the side of Dryads, being able to really punish the weaker lane, so to speak, of the Maokai into the Fiora there. But even on the bot side, with only that sort of pressure gank that was put down by RareAdam, Rim Almighty and Coach Kirk have been absolutely bullying the crap out of this lane. This is what you want to see with the double range lane into something like a Leona. She's not able to go in because she will die.
Yeah, they're already so low. The backs are, at least Pixel Wolf is going to be the one to back. No, it looks like both of them are, but Pixel Wolf does have teleport. He will be able to get back to lane and not miss too much. And that is what will happen. Shifo once again in the top lane, looking to be a complete nuisance this game for the Maokai. Looking to chop down some trees in his future. RareAdam chilling out, clearing out some jungle camps. I guess he's looking to hit level 6. It seems like there's just not many good places to gank, because Maokai is pushed up. All of his lanes are pushed up.
Yeah, all the lanes have been pushed up, and it's really good that the side of Dryads are able to sort of freeze their lanes, sort of consolidate a little bit of their gold lead, especially on this top side of the map. You can see that mid lane, Orianna's a wave down. Top lane is really the only lane where they have that CS advantage. Pixel Wolf is able to slowly crawl back into it here, but it's starting to get a... Oh, no.
Oh, that's going to get challenging for these guys very soon. Doing a good job of hugging up against the wall to prevent the vitals from being procced. Yucca, no mana left. still has a pretty solid enough advantage, but that's not exactly the trade you wanted to see when you drop the ultimate down. Does have a lot of minions, though. There's Hoff trying to bait him in here. No junglers around for miles, and it looks like this wave will just crash.
Yeah, Yucca not able to get behind Boaf there, and you had the 2-level advantage. No, great time to try and look for the play, but just wasn't in the right angle to look for anything, so unfortunately not able to find anything too major.
And he hadn't purchased any items yet. Now he's picked up his Iron Spike Whip along with a Kindle Gem, so, it's a little bit of combat stats, a little bit of cooldown, some bigger health pool. Probably wins that one next time, so Hoff will have to be very careful as Dino Club. They've set their sights on the first dragon of the game.
And this is sort of what you have to do when your top side isn't in the best situation. I'm sure RareAdam knows that there's no shot that they have any sort of control on that top side, so instead they opt towards the bottom side of the map. Gonna pick up that early dragon, and still Rim Almighty has a decent CS lead and combat advantage over Pixel Wolf right now. With Coach Kirk constantly putting down this poke, it is so difficult for Pixel Wolf to be able to farm, despite playing Ziggs, which is normally seen as a safe farmer. But up on the top side, they're going to try and punish this Maokai again.
They did ping out the mid laner earlier. Not quite sure if they know that the Graves is there, but Hoff having to do everything he can to make sure this wave doesn't come in.
It's spotted out.
But it is a little too late. They have spotted him out, but there's so much damage from the Orianna coming out. Orianna was tanking at first. Shivo tanking as well, and now here comes a teleport out from Dupless, and a great job of dissuading a potential gank. Lots of time wasted there.
Yeah, and on the bot side of the map, this is going to mean that RareAdam's just able to go into the enemy jungle. Really difficult for the Ziggs Leona to try and fight this Jarvan because of how hard Rim and Coach are able to push this wave, constantly putting pressure on this tower. You're either going in there to stop Jarvan from taking away that blue buff, or you're trying to stop this tower. Unfortunately, they're going to do neither, and this is looking really good for the side of Dino Club, just able to consistently put pressure on this lane. They're giving up topside for a lot of bot lane pressure here.
And I want to point out incredible usage of the explosive charge from Rim Almighty. They realized that Pixel Wolf OP9 lovers had backed off, like not to use it, and as soon as they walk back up because they feel they're safe from the Jarvan, slaps it on the turret to force them back again. Denies some gold, keeps the range out there, and then, it pops and they get hit by it. It's a lot of damage.
Yeah, and they're just going to keep doing that over and over again. Rim doesn't have to do... Oh, goodness.
Oh, my God. They went for it, but here comes the ultimate from the Ziggs. The flash is burnt by Rim Almighty, and they will get to back off. A pretty solid engagement there from the Dryads. They are pretty low on HP, but they were able to burn 2 summoners out of Rim Almighty and 1 out of Coach Kirk.
Yeah, the Ignites were traded back and forth there, and looks like they won't be able to get any more plates, at least on this push. But, 30 CS up for Rim Almighty, about... 3 plates in the lead as well, and looking at the gold difference there, that's 600 gold. That makes up for the 2 deaths that you have on top side there, and even despite all of that, this Maokai has started to equalize out this lane. Has that Bramble Vest, is just a little bit behind in terms of experience, if I'm looking at it right now. About half a level behind, which is a far cry from the almost 2 levels that was... the difference in this early game. So Boaf and Yucca, despite having so much pressure put top lane for Yucca, Boaf has just survived this absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, and I feel if Yucca was maybe able to convert on that earlier opportunity where they dropped the Grand Challenge, or they were able to convert on that 3-man gank on the top side, this could be a whole lot different. But now we see Dino Club with the level lead as they have spotted out Coach Kirk, the Dryads have. And here comes the engagement onto RareAdam here. Shivov trying to push forward here.
What?
However, the top laners have come down. Yucca very low. Again, trying to pop the Grand Challenge. One more marking. Yep, there we go. The heal comes out. It's a great Zenith Blade over. Hoff very low. Shivo picks up the kill. The flash away from Yucca to get out of there. And like a thief in the night, the Dryads pick up a 3rd kill.
Yeah, they pick up a 3rd kill, but unfortunately it's a little bit tough in terms of the gold difference, because looking at mid lane, Dupless completed that call at 10 minutes. He has been farming a storm in this mid lane, and it's getting a little bit rough because Corki definitely outscales the Orianna in terms of damage, not in terms of utility, because that shockwave is so useful, but in this mid lane, just no fear moving forward, always looking for that play.
Infinite shields from Coach Kirk there. Tanner, is having a rough go at it. I mean, the CS numbers for Tanner are solid enough. However, like we said, Dupless is just on another level right now. And Rim Almighty was alone in the bot lane for quite some time and is able to get another turret plating. That is massive. The CS difference down here, it's almost 40 at this point. And now Pixel Wolf getting pushed back. Leona not around to help out. This bottom lane turret is not long for this world.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary, especially since the Ziggs is normally seen as someone who can consistently push that wave, have really strong wave clear, but just hasn't really had the opportunity to do that. Coach Kirk has played this so well, just poking out Pixel Wolf and OP9 lovers over and over again, and that's how you win that matchup. You pick the Karma to just bully that lane, give this Tristana as much space as she needs, and if we look at that gold once again, she's up almost 1,000 gold, and Coach Kirk is up 600 gold on OP9 lovers, which is great when you're talking about a Karma who provides you a lot of magic damage later in the game as well.
Are we not going to talk about how OP9 lovers is also in debt right now?
That happens, you know, happens to the best of us. Oh.
There's a bit of an engagement here in the bot lane. RareAdam is going to have to flag and drag out, but it will not matter. Collateral damage will blast them back to the base. And with the dragon up, it looks like this one could potentially go over to the Dryads. Looks like there will be no contest here from Dino Club. And you have to wonder if momentum is a factor here. I'm not sure. Do you think Dino Club knows that they're even in gold right now when they're down 4 kills? Certainly it feels bad.
I think that Dino Club are pretty aware of this because you can look at just the itemization between these two teams. Corki has the fully completed Man Immune, the fully stacked Cull, has a longsword as well. And looking at that gold, it's an 1,000 gold difference in the mid lane. Dupless has to know that they are ahead in gold, considering Orianna is sitting on a tier, a lost chapter, and the blasting one. You know, she doesn't have enough to buy her mythic. Corki has enough to back pick up, you know, that Noon Quiver as well as another long sword, maybe looking to upgrade those boots, but you know, might just go over to this blue buff, pick that up and continue laning, because right now farming at 10 CS a minute, really good performance thus far.
Yeah, when he picks up that Muramana as well, he's just going to get exponentially bigger right now. This is Corki's weakest point of the game. He's only going to get stronger, still lacking a mythic, still lacking those sorcerer's shoes. When you have CS like that, it won't be for too much longer. Man, I love playing Corki. That champion can pump out intense amounts of damage, so this mid game might be something to fear for if you are the Dryads. That'll allow Tristana time to scale up as well, and there we go, that first turret. You see that, 610 gold going to Rim Almighty at 14 minutes.
Yeah, it's a lot of gold. It's, you know, got it right as the plates expire, and they just move towards that mid lane. Of note, Coach Kirk took Demolish to get even more plating down for this Tristana. That's a really interesting tech that I wanted to point out, and it's worked out extremely well for them thus far.
And really, that's just them knowing that they can abuse this bot lane. They've done it before, and they've abused many bot lanes in this league. They might just be the best bot lane in the league, and they know it. So they're just going to make incredibly aggressive moves in an effort to get down those plates and get more gold into their pockets. Yucca able to trade back a solo turret for the Fiora is a very scary prospect.
Yeah, Fiora able to get a lot of those plates as well, so it's really just bot lane versus top lane right now. You can see once again as we look at the gold. Always want to look at this because it's interesting to see where they put their resources, especially in game 1 and how that translates into later. 1,500 gold up on this Fiora on the top side, whereas on the bot side, it's the same gold difference between that ADC and support, and they're keeping it really close. You can see now Corki probably knows they have a gold lead because they have a bounty and they're 0-0 and 0.
Now you say it's top lane versus bottom lane. However, we haven't given enough love to Shifo this game.
It's top side versus bot side. There we go.
3-0-1. Yes, there we go. 3-0-1. And when you pulled up the gold graph, I mean, the gold difference between the junglers is palpable right now. It's absolutely massive. The only difference is that RareAdam is going to have the CC to be able to provide in these team fights, where Shifo is going to have the Grave Smokescreen, but that's about it in the way of CC. However, sometimes the best CC is just killing your opponents.
Yeah, and going for Yomu's into what could be either a shield bow or the Gale Force would mean that this Graves is just able to dip and dodge in these fights, find the sort of advantageous plays at all times. But, you know, everyone's starting to come around this mid lane. Bluff gets the Scuttle Crab, but might have to pay the price of their life for this one.
Is going to get skunned up. Tanner coming from the side. He gets knocked back and into the shockwave. Put in the bouncy house. Put in the grave. A 4th death on this Maokai. And now the Dryads, they have complete control of the mid lane side. They are going to go over to the Rift Herald, pick up the first one of the game. It's a bit of a late, Shelly.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a late Rift Herald as Rerob has to be careful. But overall, them killing the Maokai and using 2 ultimates for it, at this point is almost not worth it. I think that when you look at where this Corki is, actually we'll get back to that.
Depends on what happens there. Tanner was almost in a whole lot of trouble. Flash for Flash. Coach Kirk getting knocked up and forced away. So everybody is okay. Flash is burnt by Orianna and Leona. Coach Kirk also having to burn his. So to your point, yes, using those ultimates could be bad if bad things happen. And Tanner put himself a little out of position there. So they're unable to capitalize on anything. Overall, they're going to take some summoner spell trades for that. A turret going down as well in its bottom inner turret. Dupless getting all the solo gold for that. Yeah, those give 600 gold too.
Yeah, and Dupless is so far ahead right now. 186 CS at 17 minutes. That's 11 CS a minute. Has gotten, that bot lane tier 2 tower, working on what should be, waiting to see it come through. I believe he's going to be picking up his Immortal Shield Bow here as well. And that's 2 items at 17 and a half minutes. He's got the package. It looks like he doesn't have quite enough gold for it, but
yeah. I mean, this dragon's coming up, so you're not going to wait for it. You're just going to come in with a package real quick. Shivo is going to walk up, and he's going to drop the Rift Herald down. He's going to be in the face of Dupless, missing a big one. However, Rerob on the backline. It's a 3. No, make it 4 people. The Shockwave trying to get him out. Dupless couldn't use that package effectively on the one side of the fight. OP9 Lovers going low. Behoff down. It's a 2 for 2 overall as Yucca is pushing forward, but getting very low. Shifo out of mana, will have to get out. Pixel Wolf just trying to dissuade people from going in and get them away. Shelly unable to take a turret. Coach Kirk delaying some recalls could result in a dragon for Dino Club as they get their first couple of kills of the game.
Yeah, and look at all this vision they're able to clear out so quickly as well. The recalls coming through for Shifo and Yucca because they're too low means that Remo, Mighty, and Dupless, the double 80 carries, are just going to be able to take this dragon down without any sort of contest. It means that you get a little bit more of an advantage for Dino Club here, and they're still holding on to that minuscule gold lead despite it being 5 kills down. Of note, Buff did get a kill, so now it's worth it to use your ultimates on him again because he has a 300 gold kill bounty there, but that's about it. But Coach Kirk might be in trouble here. Ooh, man.
Yeah, he has been spotted out. He's going to walk right into Tanner, and Shifo picking up the 4th kill of the game. Still no mythic on this guy, but he is getting closer and closer. I want to point out, I love the style that's being played by Dino Club right now, except for the fact that Coach Kirk got picked off. They're playing the very, you take a look at like the Korean League teams when they're up against very aggressive teams. They kind of get behind in the kill count, but they keep the gold equalized. And right now, Dino Club has done a pretty good job of that. It's a nice pleasure to see. Maybe these teams are taking some inspiration from the World Championships, but the Dryads, if they're drawing inspiration from anywhere, it's these Chinese teams. These guys are looking to fight, and always pick you off.
Yeah, and I was having a discussion with a couple of the high-level academy coaches a little while back, and they talk about this new style of play where, you're always trying to be proactive, you're always trying to get those, just get leads wherever you can. And both of these teams are playing a little bit of that style. I mean, albeit not to the level that academy players are playing. Of course, we can't expect that, but they're finding the victories where they can. You can see just giving Dupless all of this time and resources to get to 2 items at 20 minutes, 220 CS, rocking 11 CS a minute. Like this is not something that you just do by laning well. You do this by
academy level farm.
That's world's level farm. You see world mid laners go like having 8 CS a minute or something, and you're like, come on, man, you can do better than that. But Dupless is playing this Corki as well as possible, consistently picking up side lanes, side waves, always looking to push that out, having that teleport as the threat, and also picking up a whole crap ton of XP. You can see level 13, highest level in the game alongside Yucca and Shifo. They've gotten a lot of their experience off of solo farm and kills, whereas a lot of the farm from Dupless has just been off of farm.
As it turns out, in order to farm comes off of farm.
Yes, I meant XP. XP off of farm, but yes.
The floor here is made out of floor.
Yes.
Dupless continuing. They're putting the resources in him. RareAdam has said, you know what? I'm going to be pretty useless this game. So you can have all of my jungle camps. It was a disappointing fight from Dupless, though. I feel like they could have won that so much harder. He put himself in a position where he had to use the package to move to the side instead of maybe proactively using the package to split the people up who are in the Cataclysm, because it does a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, the package really strong, especially when you have a sort of containment tool, so to speak, like the Jarvan Cataclysm, where, they have to sort of walk in and around it eventually, but we'll have to see. Maybe this is the fight that they're looking for. Dupless is here.
Could be. OP9 Lovers got knocked off. Shift
Teleport
on the back line, hitting RareAdam down low. Trading 1-for-1 so far, but Coach Kirk is low. Yucca on top of Rim Almighty. Rim Almighty going low. Taken down. Hoff in the middle of the fight, but it will not matter as Yucca running the team fight. The flash has to be burnt away. Hoff trying to kill Tanner, but Tanner, will he live? He puts the shield on himself. He eats some honey fruit, and he's A-okay, baby. And the Baron has been started by the Dryads. They run that fight 4-for-1.
And this is what Dryads have been looking for so long, just able to find that fight that leads to more. And they get 4 kills for 1. The only death is OP9 Lovers, where Dupless was just sort of taking their time auto-attacking them. It looked like they were just going on a stroll in the park, auto-attacking them down, hoping that they get the kill in a timely manner. But at the end of that, the real hero of that is just Shifo getting in there. The double teleports from Yucca and Tanner to really solidify that fight, and Shifo just does so much damage at this stage of the game. 6-0 and 3, 2 completed items. There is still hope for the side of Dino Club in this game 1, but Dupless just hasn't been as aggressive as maybe we'd like to see out of someone who has gotten all of these resources. Might be needing to find some more proactive fights there as opposed to that one, which just seemed a little bit on the back foot.
Yeah, the impact just simply has not been there for Dupless, and really, it's just an engagement of RareAdam going in with so little vision. I got to give a lot of credit to the Dryads. They've played such a strong game, and really got to give credit to both of these sides as they're posturing. These are some of the best teams that the Black Twitch League has to offer, but these guys are playing on a different level right now. They are playing a very strong, very controlled game of League of Legends, and it just looks like the Dryads are fighting better.
Yeah, in some ways, they've just been able to play their cards correctly in some ways. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Tanner goes down. Shifo, though, able to kill Jarvan on the dive attempt, and they can't take that turret down. And Yucca comes from the backside. Rim Almighty got caught with an ultimate, is very low. Behoff goes down, dashing forward, but that is the ultimate burned by the Tristana. Tristana will walk away. It is a 2-for-1 in favor of the Dryads, and the underdogs are coming through this game, coming up huge. Shifo 7-0 and 3, Yucca 4-0 and 6. Are they going to get more? They found Coach Kirk. Yucca dashing forward and ripping through the frail skin of this Karma. And a mid-inner turret going down as well. Dupless can only watch as the structure falls.
Yeah, Dupless just no real way to get in there and deal the damage. While they've been able to sort of find what they can, they have 100% kill participation, 261 farm. It's still just so difficult for them to really get the fight that they want. And Pixel Wolf, despite having, I'll just say it straight up, an awful laning phase, has been able to pick up 3 kills now, been able to be really relevant on this map, and now this is where Zig starts to get a lot of that value. You're just able to walk up to these towers, nuke them when they're below 25% HP. You can just keep doing that to all of these towers on top of the Baron power play that they've got here. It's going to be really difficult for Dino Club to get back into this game.
Yeah, and it's a massive power play. We saw the gold was still so tight even after the fight, but then they just take the Baron, they take another fight, they take some structures. In the blink of an eye, it is ballooned into a 6,000 gold lead. It's not insurmountable. We've seen many a games being thrown at this level of play, but right now the Dryads are playing so tight that I'm not sure if Dino Club is going to be able to come back in this one. They really have to buckle down, and they need a huge fight out of Dupless. He's running out of time to make an impact in this game.
Yeah, Dupless need at 3 items right now. So this is sort of your make or break point for this Corki. You need to try and find that super advantageous fight where you're able to get the shutdowns into your back pocket. But looking at the flip side, 3 items on the Fiora, 3 items on Shifo, 2 items on this Orianna, who's 0, 2, and 8, but has been contributing with those shockwaves in the team fights. Zig's sitting on 2 items now as well. This is where you need to sort of use that gold lead that you've got for yourself and pick up some of these shutdowns.
And they really need to stem the bleeding until this next package comes up. You really want to fight at full strength. Let Dupless get to level 16. Let him get the package. The problem is the fight that they're going to take is going to have to be forced. It is incredibly telegraphed. And when you're telegraphing into a strong team, they know that they can just wait you out. If you want to take a structure, that's fine. They don't want to take a game-losing fight. It's going to be very difficult. The dragons are at 2 apiece, so this next dragon going to be sole point for a team, and that is going to be a huge point of contention. If you are Dino Club, I think you might just want to farm it out.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to, or for the side of Dryads at least, they're just happy to wait around for this next Baron. It's coming up in about a minute and a half. They're happy to just sort of sit back, relax, and let their waves do their job. They're not, at this point, normally you'd be worried about just letting Dupless free farm, but they're like, he hasn't done anything with this Flame Horizon thus far, as he's going to eclipse the 100 CS difference between the Orianna and himself, but Dupless hasn't done anything realistically. Shifo might be in trouble though here.
This could be huge. RareAdam had taken a step back first. Shifo put the brakes on him. He gets a huge shield. This could be another big fight for the Dryads as Shifo trying to get away. Yako with the solo kill in the top lane as disaster strikes. And Rim Almighty had gone down as well. It's a 3-for-1 overall for the Dryads. They take many key members off the map.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, Dupless!
Wait, no, he wins these. He wins these. He's going to go forward. Pixel Wolf, solo, nowhere to go. The Leona ult. Now they're on top of Dupless. Is Tanner going to pick this one up? No, solo is Dupless, but they will get the kill. And now RareAdam, there's no more damage left. Going down, Tanner picks up 2. And just like that, it ends up being an ace for the Dryads. And now, knocking on the door of the base is this Fiora, with Tanner and OP9 lovers looking to take down this middle inhibitor turret as well.
Yeah, they're just going to get these 2 inhibitor turrets and potentially back off to that Baron. Shifo died really early on into that one. Dupless and RareAdam aren't up for another 25 seconds each, so really interesting play there because Dupless finally gets the shutdown that they've been looking for. They get that kill onto the Graves, walks right into Ziggs, and Pixel Wolf able to stall out for so long. They give up another shutdown, but Tanner is able to clean that up, as well as the Jarvan that went over the wall, and really, they could have cleaned up that kill onto Shifo a lot quicker if RareAdam got the EQ flash down properly. Flashed a little bit to the side, meaning that Shifo didn't get knocked up that entire time from the flag and drag, which ended up costing them quite a bit. It meant that Shifo lived for a lot longer than they should, and there was no chance for Dupless to turn around that fight before anyone went down.
He output so much more damage. It seemed like RareAdam just kind of overthought it. I mean, but I think it was the Karma tether. I don't think it was the movement of the Shifo. It could be. Shifo is an incredibly good player. But I think it was the Karma tether, and RareAdam just didn't see it. And, it's small things like that in a fight that make such a world of difference. Had they taken out this Graves early, no damage going out, Rim Almighty is probably going to live. Coach Kirk doesn't die there. It's an entirely different game. And now we see guys like Tanner went 3-0-1 in that fight, in that entire time span, getting 2 turrets worth of gold. It now has the Archangels completed, is absolutely massive right now. And while this is warded, they're not going to sweep it out. The Dryads are just going to start this one. They've decided that they are stronger.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going for that Hail Mary play, but here come the teleports in.
And we could see something happen here. Coach Kirk is going to pop the Shurelya's, but the teams are split. RareAdam's a little bit too close for comfort here. They're going to try to turn on to Hoff. Hoff is going to try to get out of there. Big one coming out from the Corgi. Are they going to try to turn this? Drop your ultimate
Oh!
off. He's going in. These are big knockups.
Dupless!
They got him in a choke point. This could be huge. Dupless is on the back up, but it
Oh,
doesn't
no!
matter. It's so much damage at a Shivo. The shockwave. It's going to whiff.
Oh!
Almighty trying to kite back is going to knock them away with the ultimate. Is trying to put the fancy feet on, but is going to walk through a minefield. It's so low. Pixel Wolf has to flash away, and it's another huge fight win for the Dryads. That was pretty much everything you wanted if you were Dino Club, and they come up small, and I think that could be the final nail in the coffin for the game here, as they are looking to push to end.
Yeah, Dupless had 4 items there, but just unable to get the damage onto the priority target. So much healing.
He's not even there.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So much healing coming
it.
through.
The Dryads, the upstarts, the underdogs come in, and they smack Dino Club in the mouth. They take a huge Game 1 victory.
What a game coming out from Dryads to start us off here, and really showing that it's anyone's series. Anyone can take this one, and just great play coming out from Yucca and Shifo on that top side. Pixel Wolf surviving that really rough laning phase to be able to stick it through and get sort of through that tough situation and end up with that game victory. So Dino Club going to have to rethink their strategy just a little bit before we head into game 2 here.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think their strategy was bad. It's, you know, for a large majority of the game, we thought that they were going to just scale into infinity, and they were doing that. They were scaling very well. They kept the gold lead tight for a large majority of the game. They lost one team fight, and it just cascaded poorly for them after that. It just all went downhill, and you have to wonder how many of those fights does Dupless want back?
Yeah, I think a couple of those, he just had a little bit of trigger anxiety there, to say. Just didn't really end up getting the fight that they were looking for. But we'll have to see if they can replicate, or if Dryads at least can replicate that Game 1 performance in Game 2, or if it will just be a little bit of a rough situation. And with Dryads going up to 0-2, you got to be careful for Dino Club here.
Yeah, and we will see how they make any adaptations in the draft. Potentially something that has a little bit more early game impact for Dupless, but we will see what they elect to do with their draft. We're going to cut it away for a short break, but when we come back, we'll bring it to you for the pro draft of Game 2 of the Black Twitch League semifinals, with the Dryads leading Dino Club 1-0.